All right, welcome to episode 10 of Honest to a Malt with myself, Duncan, and Mike. Mike, what's the name of the episode today?
Today's episode is Local Pubs, Shady Drams.
Local pub, Shady Drams. Hi, my name is...
My name.
Hi, the Drams are bleep, the Drams are whack, chicka chicka pub, Shady. That, right.
Can you please bleach your hair just so we can do some photo, like PR for this episode?
Chicka chicka Dram, Shady. Chicka chicka
In
pub,
fact,
Shady.
do you know what? I've got a really bad photo circa 2003 of me with a pretty much a shaved head, bleach blonde.
Right.
I'll try and get that.
So you can do the promo for us then, can't you? And I have to dye my hair. I've never dyed my hair in my entire life. So why would I do it now?
Really?
No, because it's not me. I don't dye my hair. It's not somewhere. I have hair. It's one color. It's going grey. When it's gone, it's gone. That's it. That's me.
You've accepted your fate.
None of this fancy hair nonsense, right? Yeah, £15 on a haircut max. That's me. So the main subject of the pod today, then. By the way, we're back to backing in terms of recording. We had to for various reasons this week, but don't worry, we made loads of time. We relaxed in between, people. Don't worry, we had some downtime.
We did some yoga,
stretching out. So don't worry, it's fresh. So the main subject of the pod today is sort of a good continuation from last week, which was about home bars, or not last week, but the last pod. About home bars and man caves, lady dens, all that kind of stuff. It's actually about going to the pub and the horrendous whiskies that there is, particularly in the south at pubs, and how overwhelmingly joyous it can be if you find a pub that actually has a half decent whiskey in it.
Yeah, because we are not blessed down south.
No,
you guys in Scotland, I mean, you have no idea how lucky you are.
They know. They know how lucky.
Well,
they do. No, they do, because they're not living down here, so they know.
True.
They're very happy. True. So don't you think there's a question you should be asking me, Mike?
I should be asking you, what is in your glass?
Well, that's very nice of you to ask me. I much appreciate it. I am having a Westland American Oak single malt.
Oof.
It's actually really nice, and I've never tried it before.
I've had some amazing Westland, mate.
It's very good. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything
do you know
about
what
it.
type of bottle it is? Or is it just like a...
It just says Westland American Oak single malt. So I guess you could look that up.
Which is probably their core release, I guess.
I'm not sure. It's lovely on the nose. It is quite oaky. Little spicy, vanilla oak spice. I'm sure there's more to it, but it's very. I've been sipping it for the last few minutes. It's very nice. Yeah. And after this, I'm going to try the Lakes Whiskey Makers Edition Sikosha.
Sakowano.
Do you know how? Do you actually know how to say it? Do you have any?
No, I'd have gone. I think Sequoia, maybe.
Sequoia, maybe that's it. Anyway.
I think.
Note for marketing team: pick names that are easier to pronounce,
or say how to say it.
Yeah,
on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. including on sample bottles distributed as part of Whiskey Live.
Yeah.
Take some responsibility and make sure you published it everywhere. Because I could Google it, but I'm not going to. So
no. Who would do such a thing?
But this is really good. This Westland. So
they're putting out some amazing stuff. Like I think again on Blind Drams recently we had a Westland, and that. I can't remember exactly what bottle it was. You'd have to check. If you go to Brian Malt Musings, beautiful Blind Drams history, he's got a spreadsheet with them all scored. But there was one particular Westland bottle in. It was pretty expensive, but it was hands down the best from that selection. Really, really good stuff. So I've got a lot of time for Westland.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this one a lot. It's definitely spicy, vanilla oak. There's more going on in it. Great mouthfeel. Has kind of like sort of somewhere between kind of like dirty earth and kind of dark chocolate going through the finish. And there's something else. Coffee. There's quite a lot of coffee going through the finish. Kind of like roasted coffee grounds type thing. Like with a bit of it's still like kind of like creamy too. So very pleasant. Actually, you've reminded me before I ask you what's in your glass. Pause. Wait. Be patient, Mike. Patience. Just wait your turn. Always chomping at the bit. Frankly,
but I want to tell it. I want to tell everyone.
It's so embarrassing. Just can't hold on just for a moment. You calm down now. Yeah, great. Yeah, all right. So you
buying for time, Ben? Chance?
No. I know what I'm going to talk about. Don't be just because you want to get back on to talk about you. It's fine. I pulled my finger out and updated the best whiskey review websites blog on the website. So I think I put like 11 on there, and that's not to say they're the only 11. It's just the 11 which we use. That's the whole point, or certainly that I use. And if Mike thinks like I've missed one, he can tell me. So just a quick name check out to people. So one, Dramface for the Podders, great community-based whiskey website. Malt Musings, you've already mentioned. Brian, single-handedly reviewing a lot of drams and just generally making spreadsheet use almost towards acceptable. But also really detailed reviews, to be fair to Brian, who's a great guy. He's giving a lot more insight around the whiskey. Obviously the Dramble.
Usually.
And we talk about a bit about people's scoring systems. Obviously, Matt, like, great whiskey reviews, super interesting. You can skip to the end, or you can read like usually like a current opinion on something, and they're great kind of long form reads. Two Whiskey Brothers, that's one I'm kind of new to, but they always seem to do like the SMWS releases, which is kind of cool. How much attention you play to the scores is up to you, but to go through and read their thoughts, and just the fact they've gone through and bothered to review all of those whiskies, every SMWS. I mean, they deserve a gold medal just for that. I mean, that is I mean, whether it's free or paid for, it doesn't matter. The point is that is an undertaking, right?
The time it takes to do this stuff.
100%. And I think generally some of the bigger ones like Whiskey Base, I mean, the guys that run that, or the people that run that, it's incredible. Every whiskey just seems to be on there. I understand people contribute, but then you've got all those kind of reviews from people, so you can trawl through and see kind of different opinions. I've probably missed some, but there's a lot of really good whiskey review websites.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even mention like some of the retailers who have really good whiskey reviews. So I'm sure I've missed some, but go to the website, go to honesttoamalt.com. That's right, we've got a website. Isn't that crazy? And
we
do. The stuff we post on there will really be what we actually think. A bit like we post an article about supermarket drams and Amazon drams that we think are the best value and our kind of rules. We've also posted about this. Now, we won't do too much of that stuff, but when we do, we believe in it. Basically.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mike, thanks so much for your patience. What's in your glass, my friend?
Thank you. I've forgotten. What is in my glass is a Toravaig, is the correct way of saying it.
Oh, excellent pick for this week's pod. And you didn't even mean to do that, did you?
Didn't even mean to do that, no. But it's the
Toravaig.
Toravaig, which was it Stuart Dick we spoke to from Toravaig?
100%.
Lovely lads, really, really nice guy. And
we recorded him say it properly, actually, didn't we? As well.
Yes.
Toravaig. Toravaig. Aye.
I thought I'd picked up the Alt Glen, but I've actually got the inaugural one.
Oh,
so
right.
I'm drinking the first ever release from them.
Of course you are.
Was again
because that's
put out. Mate, it was put out at absolutely dirt cheap price.
It's about
again.
45 quid or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
How it should be.
Which some companies are putting out ridiculous prices for their first release, but they were like, well, it's young. This is just what we need to do to make a bit of money back. And they did it in the right way. And they've carried that on with the rest of their releases, really. So hats off to them. And lovely dram. Loads of smoke on the nose. But again, orchard fruits running through it. It's just absolutely lovely. It's got that briny note as well, which again, being a seaside boy, grew up down in South Wales on the coast.
Bit of saltiness always helps, doesn't it?
Oh, love a bit of salt, you say?
Yeah.
Lovely. Really, really nice dram, mate. And anything by Toravaig, I generally sort of would jump on as a good buy.
Yeah. I can hear my dog pitter-pattering around in the background. He's not settling down. It's just
maybe he's not a fan of Toravaig.
I think he's probably not a fan of our podcast. I think he's having a drink now. God, it's all about him now. It was all about you. Now it's all about the dog. It's two selfish individuals in my life.
Wow. Savage. This is where it all broke down. We nearly got to 10.
It's the difficult 10th episode, isn't it? This is the drop-off. The drop-off rate. We're now joining, after this episode, we joined the 720,000 club of the people that could be.
That's a crazy figure.
Could be asked to do more than 10 pod episodes. So
it's nuts.
I'm hoping that we can maybe do the 11th episode together in person. That I think would be cool. Kick off, but we'll figure out what we're going to do. What's new? Auction wins. I'm not in a bottle buying embargo. You are. Still.
I'm still on my embargo.
Yours is kind of like a monk type pursuit now. You've just decided you're going to kick yourself in the nuts once a week rather than buy bottles. And that's on you. You can do what you want to do. But for me, I'm buying bottles. So I picked up a couple of auction bargains.
You have done very well.
You know more.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but you have picked up some gems.
Yeah, but I think it's easy at the moment to pick up some gems, so to speak. So if you want any tips, and you're really not sure what you're doing, feel free to reach out to us. But that isn't what this episode's about. So if you feel like you really don't understand what to do at auctions, I don't know why, but feel free to reach out to Mike or I, and or DM us or something. But mostly it's just about organisation and patience. Anyway, I only bought 2 bottles. The point is, you know more about one. It's a Swiss distillery. I think it's called Santis.
Oh, mate, it's the boutique bottling, isn't it?
10-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. So that's got Simo from Milroy's on the cover in the artwork. And I think all their artwork's done by Emily Chappelle.
Great surname.
Scottish artist. She's brilliant. Yes, comedian. I'm not going to do another impression. We're way past that.
No. That's I share the same surname with Emily.
Do you?
Yeah. That's my surname.
Ah, good.
It's spelled the same as well. So I could be related to Emily. Probably not, but
I know. You just put your name out there for everyone now, but it's fine.
It's not that hard to find. If people want to, they can, right?
But that dram it's got a good memory for me. One of the guys from Wales comes up every year and we go to London, we get a bit of food and we always hit Milroy's and just have a really good night out. And that was one that was on I think it was a £300 per person night we ended up spending in Milroy's. We drank like kings.
Bloody hell, that's a lot of
proper top shelf.
It's a lot of euros to drop on a night out.
Yeah, but that whiskey was delightful, and it was Eddie that was working there at the time. He's now set up his own bar over in Portugal.
Right.
But he sort of gave us a dram of that. Was like, this is really good stuff. Want to try it? You need to try this. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Goes through, gives us a dram, and we were like, mate, that is amazing. And he came back and he went, I messed up here. I didn't tell you how much that cost. And it was something like, it was a top shelf price for not a top shelf whiskey based on name and everything else alone.
Right.
So when that's my bad, that one's on me. I'm not going to charge you for that. Probably because we spent 300 quid each. But
probably
at the same time, didn't have to do that. Could have easily just absolutely done us for like a lot of money for a dram of this stuff.
Yeah. So you're saying shout out to Milroy's top guys there, right?
Massively. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like shout out to Eddie. Hugely.
In Portugal.
Probably more to Eddie than us. But yeah, Eddie's bar in Portugal. If you're ever there, I think he's in Porto, I want to say. Check him out on Insta. He's setting it up. He's gone on his own. He's basically recreated his own Milroy's out in Portugal.
Oh, nice. I
Lovely
didn't know about
guy.
that.
Yeah. And just did us a solid. And that's kind of what I do love about nights out and stuff at Milroy's. You get in that genuine sort of, same as when we're giving whiskey to new people or friends and things like that. We want to get them to try good stuff. He goes, yep, didn't tell you the price, no charge, my bad, or my good.
Well, I think the reason, so one, this is definitely a good bottle. So you've tried it. I've read the reviews. It looks like really interesting bottle, really good pedigree of distillery apparently. And I picked it up for about 35% of RRP.
Mate,
but you've got to put fees on top of that and postage if you haven't got somebody who can pick it up.
I was going to chip in earlier. So when you were talking about those things that can catch people out, if you are listening and you're new to whiskey auctions and you're thinking about getting involved, make sure you know how much you're going to get charged for postage, how much extra you have to pay, because there's fees, there's VAT, there's everything.
Yeah,
that price can jump up significantly.
You've got to bank 12% on top, and then you've got postage, and that's pretty much it. Right?
Yeah,
and postage is expensive if you're not like living in Glasgow for SWA, or you don't know someone that can pick it up for you and post it to you. But that's the dull stuff. I also got a bottle of Springbank local barley. Springbank.
No, you did not.
Shut up. a bottle of Handfield Springbank. Sorry. There's so many of them, and I don't know who. I haven't even checked the label to see whose bottle I bought, whether the name's on there or not. But I do think it's quite funny because I got it for about £10 more than, maybe £5 to £10 more than it cost to buy at the distillery. And I live so far away from the distillery that I would say that's a bargain, because for me to get to Springbank is an absolute trek. right? If you said, you know,
the time and the cost, you may as well. It's like $1,000.
Yeah,
to get
and obviously it's amazing to go there and stay there for a few days, but to to think of, yeah, you know, what's the premium you're willing to pay to get that bottle? Well, not a lot, and I would say I got that well within that margin, right?
massively,
100%. And they dropped. There was a big drop off in the price of them this week, this auction versus before. Maybe an indicator. We don't want to get into like doomsday stuff. That's not us. But anyway, maybe an indicator. No. Anyway, really good value. So because it's a drinking whiskey. I mean, it's literally hand-fill young Springbank. It's not collectible. You know, people's names are written on it. I posted one on Twitter. What I write? Mum's the word Peter. Because someone tried to white over it, and you could still see it said Peter. I don't know why people even bother. It's only a first name. Like, why?
I know.
I mean, I'm sure more than one Peter has bought a bottle of Handfill Springbank this year. I don't know how many people they think go to the distillery, unless he's like the most famous Peter. Like
it's Peter Griffin.
It's Peter Griffin. Yeah, Peter Pan. Right? Just buying their Springbank Handfill. So I don't really get that. So anyway, they'll get cracked. And then I saw something, and this is because we're recording this at the same time, so this will seem like it's a week late. But the island's self-professed worst journalist, Bill Lennan. I think I've said that right. I think it's Bill Lennan. I really hope I've said his surname correctly. Bill, if we haven't said your surname,
I'd have gone Luane.
Luane. I
don't know. But again, I'm probably wrong.
But it's very on topic, the pronunciation of names. So, Bill, if we said your surname wrong, because we're sorry, but big metal fan. And Bill had written on Twitter.
I love him.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah, that's for sure. Don't pick him up too much. He seems like the kind of guy to get carried away. Just play it down. Play it cool, Mike. Play it cool. So Bill had said, never met Bill, by the way, just to be clear, but he had said in reference to, and I can't actually pronounce this distillery because I haven't learned how to pronounce it, and we had to look it up. But just to kick stuff off, how do you say it, Mike? It's this new Irish distillery or something, I think.
So,
because this is basically about distilleries that are sort of, he posited, is it smart to make your distillery name? Because you could name it whatever you want. At the end of the day, if you wanted to call it the distillery, you could. By the way, why has no one done that? The whiskey distillery or the distillery?
The whiskey.
Like, it was good enough for bands. Why is it not good enough for distilleries? Anyway, people are always back to heritage in the area. So people some businesses go with really hard to say names. This is an example of one of those, right? Can you say it, Mike?
Boalek.
Boalek, yeah, Boalek. And the way it's written down to me, it reads like ball ache.
It's a ball ache saying it.
Someone was saying, well, would you order that in the bar? And probably not, because if I was I would in England or Scotland, because it wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
because I won't be offended. But would I order it in Ireland? Probably not, because I wouldn't want to offend the people behind the bar. And if I could point to it and say, and it was quiet, and I could say, can you tell me how to say that one? Tell me a bit about that whiskey. Then fine, I would order it. But if it was loud, I wouldn't just go, I'll have the ball ache. That's not me. I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't order it. I'd order something else. So
I'll have a double ball ache, mate.
Yeah, double on the rocks with some Coke.
Yeah, you'd just be there, wouldn't you, pretending to be like,
no, but you know what I'm saying?
Pointing to a menu.
Yeah, if it's this one. Which one do you want again? This one.
This one. Can you pronounce it, sir? Because that's what I do. Yeah. I'm sorry. My eyes are a bit pale.
And then if they're really being difficult, when they read it back to you, they'll read everything else out crystal clear. They'll be like, that's 2 Cokes, 2 tuna sandwiches, and a banana.
And a
banana. No, they won't say it. They'll be like, and a banana. So then they'll walk off, and you still won't know how to say it.
So it is a consistent theme there, and I think, was it Bill saying, I just don't know why they don't just either explain how to say it or choose an easier name. If it's not like, actually, my distillery is on this mountain and this is why it's called it.
Well, I think somebody else said sometimes they think it's kind of part of the charm, and I think maybe that might be true, but I think it's less true with new distilleries. I think old distilleries that have been around for a long time have just become accepted as part of folklore, like the Throne.
Yeah.
Like
Ardbeg, Ugadal.
Yeah,
give Ugadal to someone, they'd be like
Oogie, yeah.
Are you wailing?
Uigadale. yeah. These things are difficult to say sometimes, and I think that unless you're really well established, maybe it's not the best idea. But hey, what do we know? We're not top class marketers.
No.
You mentioned another one which I read as Balling Dalloch, but it's not, is it? It's
Balling Dalloch is no, Balling Dalloch is correct.
Oh, it is correct.
Yeah. So
I've heard
to
that.
me, it's like
I've heard that distillery
basketball and balling.
Yeah.
Da, your dad,
Da,
and then
lock.
like leg.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
You're playing basketball with your dad near a lake. That's how we're going to go with that.
So we wonder what you guys think are the hardest distilleries to pronounce or say. I've seen one coming up, which Callum and Kate are obviously big fans of due to family connections and stuff, or something like that. Anyway, and it's Macrahonish. But I honestly, if you read it, and I might have said that wrong, if I have, I'm sorry, but if you read it written down, it's Macrahanish, but it's not. It's Macrahonish, I think, right? You've got no chance unless you know how to say it. So you've got to learn it. And the thing is, as more and more distilleries get added, how many can you learn? How much space is there in your head? I think.
Do you think there's a little part of them that like does it on purpose just so people sound a bit silly?
But people could only remember so much, especially your average punter. Like, you know, if you see that Sherlock Holmes things where he says, I can't, you know, I get rid of useless information so I can store worthwhile information in my head. They're like, well, how can you not remember that? How can you not remember someone's birthday? It's not important to me. There's a waste of my brain space. There's a waste of my brain capacity. So unless you're a whiskey nerd, or like unless you're a whiskey nerd, basically, or you're like, it's one of your top 3 favorite distilleries.
Yeah. Or you've got a connection.
Or you've been drinking for years and years and years, right? Or you're local to that area and you grew up with that dialect, that particular local dialect in that area, or whatever. You've got no chance. It's just like,
to be fair, I do it a little bit. So I give, when my neighbour down the road pops in,
pull my sleeves up.
When he's allowed, for a couple of drams, because generally he gets quite messy when he comes to mine. He loves it. So we'll do a full-on flight, but he stumbles home and gets in so much trouble.
Yeah.
But I'll always drop out the Ardnamurchan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right, how do you pronounce that, mate? And he's African. He's like, basically just goes, he sounds like me doing a South African impression of a
he's like Ardnamurchan.
The Demetrian.
Yeah, it's not the easiest either. Just like Brooklady, right? Like,
yeah, I still pronounce that wrong.
Brookladish or whatever.
I say Brookladish.
Brookladish.
Yeah,
that's wrong too.
It's annoying though, because I think I've got Welsh language. I've done a bit of school and stuff, and did GCSEs and all that. So I still pronounce like L's and CHs.
But that's so, I mean, listen, I mean,
translates to Gaelic.
That's what we're saying. So we that really made me think that kind of topic is, do people want to keep making this stuff really hard to say? And totally within your rights, your product, you've put the blood, sweat and tears into it, and you're doing all the hard graft, and it's your dream, and you can call it whatever you want. But we're just saying that some of us out there have to make a special effort to learn how to say it, right?
I can't even tell you how long it took me to learn proper 12. That was months. I'll fight you.
I'll fight you for
it.
I'll fight you. Hey.
If you're an old man in a pub, I'll fight you.
If you you turn down my whiskey, I'll fight you for it. Eh?
I love that, man. Have a whiskey on me. What is it? Proper 12. Nah, you're right, mate.
He's a hero.
Have one. No.
He's a hero. I'm
still not having one.
I'm just trying this. Yeah, he's like, is that all you got? Come on. You're supposed to be a world champ or something. I'm not even. Are you going to leave me to finish my pint now?
Can I finish my Bushmills?
Yeah. He's like, just I'll have another Bushmills, please. Just
on the 10.
A double.
Standard.
A double. Are you sure the proper 12 is on half price at the moment? No, it's not for me. No.
He's going to pour it himself. He's made this whiskey. Nah, you're all right. No.
You've seen the jacket he's wearing. It's not for me.
Celeb slating, I love it.
No, I mean, hey, look, he's super successful and he's super entertaining, and so credit to him. Whiskey Makers Edition, Sequoia. Anyway,
Sequoia.
Point is, just had a sip of it. It's not all that really. It's just okay.
Oh, That was a big build up for it. It's all right.
Nah, it's just tastes like run-of-the-mill whiskey to me.
There we go. We are honest to a malt and honest to a
It's
fault.
only a sample,
So,
and I loved Whiskey Makers Edition number 5. I also tried 4 and some of the other ones, etc. And they're very good. Just saying this isn't standout to me. It's not malty enough. It doesn't have that sort of that kind of like malty scrumptiousness cutting through it. It's it's a bit orangey. Actually, no. It's very nice. It's actually very nice, but it's not. They're supposed to be like these kind of outstanding special editions. I haven't really tried many of them. It's not. It's got a lovely. I will say it's got a lovely finish. It's got a lovely finish to it. Actually, now I'm letting the finish run.
there's a huge fan base for them, the legs.
It's great packaging, isn't it? It's that fellow that was at McCallum.
Yeah, and he blends. Oh, I'm going to get this wrong. I think he blends new make or something before it's aged, or I'm probably messing that up.
Oh, some of the stuff they do is great for sure. 100%. I've tried loads of it. Yeah. So, do you, if you're listening to this, let us know what you think are the most difficult distilleries to name, and we'd be really interested to hear if you're a distiller, if you own a distillery. Great, showers. Why you didn't call it like. What would be a good name for like a distillery? Actually, that's probably a really hard one. I mean, I guess they probably do the whiteboard thing and they stand there and they like stare at the whiteboard and they're like, "Has anyone got any ideas?"
Call it.
And then everyone's like, "Nope." And they're like, "Let's just call it
Scottish Mist.
Let's just call it where we're from." Or like maybe every name they come up with has already been a blend in the past because there's so many blends and they've just run out of names. They're like,
could well be.
What were those ones we said in that episode before? Wasn't it like the Edge or like?
Oh, when you challenged me to the were they
there
real
was some really
things?
badass names, wasn't there? They've all been taken.
I was going, no way. And you're like, yes, it is.
And there's probably also like, it's not just that, like, you know, there's other limited companies or brands that are formed. So it probably becomes really hard to find something to name it. So guess maybe that's it. But maybe like, one consideration would be to shorten stuff. Like instead of, you know, Ardnam Merkin, it could have just been Ardna.
Yeah.
Right. Just Ardna.
Yeah.
Like
Ardna.
For short. And people can say that anyway, but you could push that, couldn't you? I'll have an Ardna. Easy to say. So it's like you can still have the whole brand, but you could then push. Like it's, I was in South Korea. Like Hyundai, everyone says Hyundai, right? Everyone says,
which is a new thing.
Hyundai. Well, it's not to me, but Hyundai, as people used to say, is wrong, and they've just been spending loads of money, like educating about everyone how to say Hyundai properly, and. I was in the taxi. If I've said this before, I apologise. And if I said it to you, Mike, I don't apologise. I was in a taxi once for 10 minutes in South Korea trying to go to Hongdae. And I kept saying Hongdae. And the guy's like, Hyundai? You want to go to where they make cars? Why do you want to go to Hyundai for? And I'm going, Hongdae. Hongdae. And he's going, Hyundai. And I was literally sitting as impasses. I was just sitting at me and friends sitting in an impasse. And the guy's going.
And you ended up buying a 4x4 and just calling it a day.
I'm sure he's winding us up at the end of the day because I never got it. I've never had those problems before. And he's just sitting there going, "Do you really want to go to this car making place, Hyundai?" I'm like, "No, I want to go to Hongdae." And he's like, "Don't get it." I'm like, "No, the party place." And he's like, "They don't party. They make cars there." I'm like, "Oh my days." I'm sure he's doing this deliberately. But anyway, they're spending all that money on educating people, aren't they? Because it's so hard to say, right? You know, but then they've built a massive car brand, so. I think the moral of the story is just call it whatever you want, and the rest of us will struggle to pronounce it.
Just make it easier, please.
Well, actually,
or if you're doing it on purpose,
that is what Brook Laddie did, because they called it Classic Laddie. So you can call it Laddie. Yeah. So that's why it's really embarrassing, Mike, that you continue to get it wrong. But it's okay. We won't talk about it. You know, we won't make it obvious to people. I just did, but you know, that's why it's Classic Laddie. Yeah.
Fair play.
Yeah, that's all right.
Let me just pause to have a quick bourbon biscuit.
On that bombshell, let's go on to the main segment. And on that bombshell, so local pub Shady Drams.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, landlords have had a tough time of it, haven't they, over the last few years? So we don't want anyone to think that we're not super pro. We're super pro pubs. Okay. Mm-hmm. Super pro pubs. I go to the pub. There are lots of great local pubs here. So I go, there's probably 10 pubs within 15, 20 minutes walk. I'm not counting exactly. So if anyone wants to hold me to that, fine. But say 10-ish. And then obviously it's London. So there is also many other pubs.
Yeah.
So pubs are getting a fair chunk of business, but I have a couple of gripes about it. And I think as you get older, them to shape this a bit. One, we like whiskey, but as you get older, you don't want to drink so many pints. Now, is that just a me thing?
No, it's not. Like, I still, if I go to the pub, I'm having a pint.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't have a pint, but I'm saying
no. I'm just saying I'm having like very few pints as compared to when I was a wee lad and on the town as such. But I want a couple of beers
right.
and a whiskey.
Yeah.
And that's where the conundrum sort of kicks in, because your beer selection generally now, if you went into a pub, it's probably flipped. Like if you went into a pub 10 years ago, you'd have, well, your selection is Foster's or Carling.
Oh, your camera just zoomed in. That was really strange.
Yeah. But they were your choices. They, like you had that or that, and then a 3% bitter locally made.
We're old enough to have seen lagers come and go, you know, like that there's that sort of sense of loss when you've lost
Carling Premier. Oh,
I don't know what it would be for me that I really missed.
Grolsch, don't see that very often on tap.
Never liked Grolsch.
Yeah, proper Stella.
There used to be a time when Kronenberg Blanc was on tap a lot, and there also used to be a time when you could get like just Murphy's on tap in the UK, and I'm sure.
Or is it? I haven't seen Murphy's in a long time.
Possibly even Beamish at some point, but there used to be a time when you could get something other than Guinness, and you can't anymore.
Do you know what one of my favourite beers used to be? Caffrey's.
Yeah, Caffrey's. You used to be able to get Caffrey's at pub as well.
And it used to settle like a Guinness as well, which is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, one of my biggest gripes about pubs here locally, there's one pub called the Cricketers Rest, and they do ales, which is great. It's not my favourite pub to go to, but they do ales. Some of the nicer pubs to go to just do IPAs. Like, who has 7 beers on tap and makes every single one of them a floral IPA? What kind of sadist? Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm not like, sure they've got lager, they've got like that London lager or whatever, and a Guinness.
I like one IPA if I'm having even if I'm having a beer session.
But if we did blind tasting on those IPAs, people would just say they all taste exactly the same. They just taste of flowery, sharp, citrusy.
I bet there's IPA reviewers that are now just like, "How dare you?" That's like them saying like whiskey.
They haven't got any taste buds, and they're currently just slightly twitching because they're cringing a little bit. Because
Duncan's up for the fight.
No, I'm just saying. Look, listen. There are some IPAs are okay, but I personally am not an IPA fan. If you're an IPA fan, up to you. Never met anyone that drinks IPA with taste, really. And I'm not talking about your Indian Pale Ale. I'm not talking about your classic IPAs, your original IPAs. I'm talking about this modern nonsense. It's not for me. Maximum 1 pint of IPA, and that would be my sense of disappointment when I've asked for something and someone comes back with an IPA and they've not got an ale, or I'm like, but you know, if you don't know them too well, you've got to hide it. Just get it down, and then just make sure that somebody else that knows what they're doing goes to the bar. So,
but you follow it up with a whiskey, surely.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the point. So, like but it's basically about choice, isn't it? It's about selection. So, I often feel like. And in Scotland, I'm sure it's different. Maybe it's different in some of the Dublin pubs or whatever with some really good whiskies. Great pubs there are plenty of bars in London with incredible whiskey selections, like the Lord Wargrave in West London. It's walkable from Marble Arch or whatever. 300 whiskies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your
really.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your local pub, right? When you go out locally. No, so if you live next to a pub that happens to have 300 whiskies, well, great for you. That's not most of us, is it? Right?
No, I don't.
Exactly. So, often, what would you find? What do you find at your local then?
So my local, which is, well, I don't go there for one. The local,
and they're listening. They're listening. They wrote to me. They said they know you don't care.
He's barred.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have done that time. It was unacceptable.
I've been there twice. Right. Once was when we were looking at the area. And it's literally 50 minutes from my house.
That's exactly what you do when you're going to look at an area. Should we go to a local pub and have a pint and just see how it is?
And we'd had me and Laura had a bottle of wine the night before and like a proper sofa night. So
Right.
a little bit groggy in the morning, and we'd gone there to view the house. And we're like, we'll stop for one just to see what it's like. And she went in, she's like, can I get a Bloody Mary? And it was like the music screeched to a halt. Everyone stopped and looked, and he's like, I have no idea how to make that or what's in it. And I'm like, oh God. Yeah. And their whiskey selection is basically Jameson's,
right?
Grouse, Bells, and then they'll have like a Fiddich
on the when they're at the upside down 1.5 litre bottles.
Oh yeah, there's one bottle that stood upright.
I bet house doubles are cheap. House doubles are cheap, right?
Well, yeah, it depends how much Class A you're bringing in as well with you. I think generally. Bit ropey. It's like the Wild West in there, but it does actually sort of represent what's available in most local.
But that's a really good example, right?
Really
no matter how the pub is, would it kill them to have one decent peated whiskey? Because the thing is, whiskey doesn't go off. I don't know if the owners of bars realise this, but pubs. Some obviously do. Lots do. I'm talking about the ones that aren't clued up. If you were to buy a semi-decent bottle and put a price on it, on Dram, mark it up like you do usually, whatever it is, whatever you, mark it up like sort of, 2-3x cost or 2.5-3x cost or whatever it is. If you get a decent bottle of peated stuff and a decent bottle of sort of sherry, Speyside stuff or whatever, don't go to super niche. It will sell over time. Is it really going to take up that much space on your bar? And
if anything, the reputation that you're going to get from whiskey drinkers. One person goes in and goes, bloody hell, they had a bottle I haven't seen before.
There's so much information. There's so much information out there these days. The only 2 times I've been really bowled over locally, with the local selection. Bear in mind how many pubs there are around here. This week we were out on Tuesday. We went to a pub called the Duke, and they do a good Guinness there. And I was going to get a cocktail or something because it was pouring with rain outside. So we're going to walk home as we walk.
It's pouring with rain. No, I was going to get a cocktail.
No, we were supposed to have left, but it was pouring with rain. We're like, we're going to have to stay for a bit longer. So I said, well, we've had dinner. We've had steaks or whatever. And we've had a couple of pints and some wine or whatever. So not loads, but just well, I want to have something short now. I don't want to have something.
We're in espresso martini territory.
Yeah, that was on there, but I didn't want to stay up till 3 a.m. Wired off my face. Right, I'm not Australian. Right, espresso martinis are so 2015. Right, that's when they really were buzzing and taking off. So I was thinking about getting a Godfather, which is one of my favourite cocktails, just amaretto and whiskey together. I was like, well, that would do, because I didn't really fancy anything on the cocktail menu. And then because I'm so deflated about, I've set out my stall and I've gone, all drams at local pubs are pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Don't expect anything. Just if you go with very low expectations. So I've stopped kind of looking. And so I saw an Ardbeg and I said, well, because I couldn't see because I had my glasses on probably. I said, what is that over there? He went, I'll show you the bottle if you want. As the bottle comes towards me, I started to get this sort of hope. I'm like, oh, hello. And it was a nougat. It was a nougat.
Nice.
Yeah. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, what was...
I bet it was decent price as well.
$5.50 for a shot, £5 for a shot.
Mate.
That's all right, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, that's mega for a pub price, especially down here.
Yeah, 30ml was $5.50. So we both had a pour of that, obviously. And that's the other thing about going to a pub and having tumblers are the choice of pubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't tend to have, you could ask for a white wine glass, but if you don't ask, they'll usually put it in a tumbler, right? And they have really good tumblers there. So I had an Oogie. So that was very good. And the only other time I've been really impressed locally was the pub was a bit of a walk away, and they had a Cotswold signature.
Okay, yeah, decent.
I was like, that's exactly the kind of bottle that every pub should have by the bar, because anyone could drink that. Anyone.
Especially, it's an English whiskey.
English whiskey.
It's something to talk about.
In England. Why don't more of these pubs, in London, have a bottle of Bimber behind the bar? Or the East London distillery or whatever? I don't get it.
Not the East London, because it's...
But why don't they have a bottle of Bimber behind the bar, right? Why? There's so many of them, right? So if you're a pub out there and you haven't got a clue and you want me to buy you a bottle of Bimber and you're going to pay me and choose you one, like 2 or 3 to have by Joanna so you can be more London, hit us up. Because what are you doing? Like, when people
now
get
go
on it,
out of my way.
It's upsell, isn't it?
Go to a decent pub.
It's upsell. When people are on it
100%.
and they're like, "Oh, we'll have a whiskey," and the best you've got is like Talisker 10 behind it, or Talisker Sky, or God, what else do people have behind the bar?
But that is saying something when you're like
Ardmore Legacy,
when Talisker's
Ardmore Legacy
there,
or something like that. Something like CAC.
Talisker, you're going, oh, thank God, it's something at least reasonable, and it's still like core range Diageo or whatever, but it's still better than a lot of the offerings you're going to get in a pub.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will go out of my way. I've got a pub in it's a 25 half-hour walk away from my house. Proper little village pub. And the guy who runs it's Scottish.
Right.
And it's called The Plough. It's in Basted. I recommend you go there.
Oh, here we go. How much do he pay you?
No. Wait for a disappointment, because it depends if he opens or not. It's how he's feeling on the day.
I love pubs.
I've walked in. He's like,
pubs like that.
Scottish guy ready? He goes, get out, I'm closed. Like, what? Right. I'm like, it's Wednesday evening. He goes, yeah, closed. Right. I'm like, fine. So I'll walk away with the dog. Come on then, back you go. But then other times you're like, open? Yeah, come in. I'm like, mate.
I absolutely love pubs like that. Down where we grew up, there's a pub in a village called Tostock, and he's a bit like that. And he just has one beer on tap behind the bar, but it's always good ale. He's got Guinness. He's got a decent lager. So he's got quality stuff. Got a choice of crisps. You should have a choice of crisps. Choice of snacks, and but I don't think he has a decent bottle of scotch, and I think that's a miss, because I think
big time.
So we're going to probably get on and probably suggest what would be like kind of a bottles we would have by the bar. But if you were a pub picking 5 bottles, or 3 or 5, what do you reckon?
3 bottles.
3 bottles.
Monkey shoulder for your
blend
mixer.
Yeah. So
if someone wants a whiskey and Coke, that'll pretty much do you well. If someone wants on their own, equally.
Yeah.
Happy days. I would say you should be aiming for something like, although it is core brand, a bottle of Kalila 12 I would be so happy to see just a bog standard 12 behind the bar in a pub.
Yeah,
great. You do get obviously Lagavulin now and again, but Kalila 12, just not too expensive, ticks all the right boxes.
So these are all quite cheap drams, aren't they? I mean, I would be happier to have something a bit more fancy, but you're saying if
I would have cheap blend, Kalila as your sort of like next level up, and then for someone that really wants something, literally any single cask whiskey, doesn't matter where it is, where it's from, it will be something that, again, like you said, it's a talking point.
I think it's outrageously hard to do in 3 bottles, but because you need to get a bourbon in there as well. I'd want to see one non-peated English or Scottish, or probably Scottish or English, like non-peated bourbon cask or ex-bourbon cask. I want to see one non-peated
bourbon or bourbon.
Bourbon. I want to see one non-peated sherry, and then I'd want to see one peated something, right? And my preference would be that it's not like 60% stupid single casks that we drink like nutters, but like something that's not like 50. 43 or 40, something that's kind of 46 to 50%, like that kind of area, right? And then one bourbon, right? That's like, again, sort of 45 to 50% territory.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, like just one base blend, right? A blend that works for everything, like Monkey Shoulder. Yeah, that's what I'd want to see. And then I would just be like over the moon happy, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
There's just so much out there, and it's I don't know how much of it is like the brewery that controls what they can stock,
right?
But it feels like the whole thing needs a shake up, because there's so much out there.
There's a lot of free houses as well. Even the free houses don't have too much interesting stuff when it comes to whiskey.
But even like on that basic blend level, like if you Naked Grouse.
Yeah, Naked Grouse
is so much of a step up over like Famous Grouse.
Yeah.
And it will please all the grumpy old grouse drinkers that won't touch anything else. Mm-hmm. They can still have their grouse, but this is slightly different and better.
Yeah.
But again, it's that stepping stone whiskey that can take you on to something else.
Yeah.
And that's where your bar staff can come in and just, upsell a little bit, and you'll create whiskey drinkers and create a bit of enthusiasm from normal people.
Do you have any rituals that you do when you go to like the pub or whatever? I can only think of one off the top of my head that we do. And it's that one when you're drinking a Guinness and you're the first sip. I think I told it to you, right? But someone else told it to me. It's like a passed on thing. You take the first sip and you try to get it in between the harp and the top of the G, right?
My boys do something different, which is why I didn't quite get how you did it in one sip. So mine is you have to have a couple of gulps and you have to get it on the line of the G.
Yeah.
So where that is split in the actual word Guinness in a pint glass, you have to get it halfway.
Right, okay.
And you were going, I do it in one. I'm like, how is he getting that much in? I was like, he's got the biggest mouth in the world. The geezer's just storing like Skittles for days.
Yeah, it's one sip.
Yeah, but to actually get down and split the G, you're probably looking at about 3.5 swigs, or gulps, sorry. And
but it's not like it's go. You just one to between the top of the G and the bottom of the harp, right? It's just it makes ordering a little bit more fun, right? It's something to do.
It's just that's satisfying as well. But you probably look like an alky when you're doing it, just necking a load of Guinness to get to that. And then slam it down. I'll have another one.
God, he's thirsty. Well, so if you
must have walked miles.
Yeah, he's only come from around the corner. I saw him. Have you got any rituals around whiskey at all? Like when you go out to a pub or to a bar? I don't think I do.
Generally, I don't order whiskey at pubs unless they got something decent, or if I'm having a few Guinness, I will try and finish with like a whiskey chaser of some sort. Which again, another pub locally to me, really good Guinness, and I'll finish with if I've dragged someone with me, I'll finish with a whiskey. A little Glenmorangie is probably the best they do.
Jesus,
but again, I might be pronouncing that wrong, but I don't drink it that often. It's one of those whiskeys that's bypassed me throughout the entire sort of whiskey journey. Well, so I quite like dipping into it just to sort of see.
You miss too much.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like it's one of those weird whiskeys for me. I sort of like I want to try. I'm desperate to try some indie Glenmorangies, and they're so hard to come by.
It's called West Coast or something, or Westland or whatever.
Yeah,
Westport. Yeah, just get yourself some Westport.
No, I have looked for them. I might, given the auction situation, I might start looking now because that might become more affordable. But obviously, I'd have to find a really good one to break my embargo, my monk status.
So what we're saying is, if you're a local pub, wherever you are, a village or a town, is just have a wee think about the whiskies you've got behind the bar, probably also the rum. Get yourself like a Foursquare or something. Do yourself a favour, get yourself a decent bottle, one decent bottle of rum that someone could sit and drink neat. Put a lovely margin on it and watch the money roll in, right? And I'm sure somebody will say, oh, nobody will drink it, but somebody will. All pubs.
And do you know what? It only takes one person to go, that was really good.
Yeah.
And then the next time you're there with a couple more people and you're going, oh, they had that. And then you're ordering 3, you're ordering 6, you're ordering 9.
It's always those people that are just like when they're roasted and they're like, what's the most expensive thing you've got? Well, get something expensive.
Yeah. Because you've asked that, it's not on the menu. Yeah. It's just gone up £2.
Yeah. There's always those people, isn't there? So just have something in. It would just make going to local pubs so much better if you knew there was a half decent whiskey by the bar. So we implore you.
Yes.
We're on a mission now. No.
Barkeeps of the world.
We're actually not on a mission, just going to suck it up. But all it'll mean is I'll come home early and have a whiskey.
Yeah.
I'll drink it at home rather than drink it at your pub. So have a think about that.
No.
Yeah. All right. So this is the tail end of episode 10. So, I mean, thanks so much for listening. And we'll be on to episode 11 and part of that magical 720,000 club.
A very small community. Yeah. Thanks for sticking with us, and we will continue and hopefully bring you some more good stuff. Catch you on the next one.